Hi, everyone. Welcome to the River's Edge. Today, I'm excited to be interviewing Shane Sterling. He'll be talking to us about his raw vegan diet. And my channel is about personal happiness and freedom. And your diet is such a big part of that and how you feel every day, physically, mentally, emotionally. And I want to hear from you, Shane, about that as well. But first, welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And I want to hear all about how you got into it, the raw vegan diet, and how you started off eating as a child and so forth.
Well, I was always kind of a little bit on the healthy side. I mean, I wasn't a vegan or anything growing up, but my mom, tried to make healthy food. But I went vegan when I was 17 because I was just appalled at the world. I was absolutely appalled. I knew even as a teenager that I wasn't going to be able to create any happiness in my life as long as I was contributing to the suffering of other beings. I mean, even in our modern law system, we say that another man's rights start where their body starts, right? So we can't accost other beings. That's against the law. Well, there's no laws for animals. So when I saw that as a young teenager, I just said, well, that has to change. So I embarked on a path to become vegan. And ethical vegan had nothing to do with health at all. But miraculously, over the years of being a vegan, I experienced incredible awakening, incredible just mind expansion, spiritual expansion, heart expansion, got more connected, more intuitive, and more on purpose than ever before in my life. That led me to really take on my health because my self-worth increased. I became more aware of how valuable I was through going vegan, and years of being vegan showed me how valuable I was. That's when I took on my health. I didn't care about health at all for many years, but has become a natural byproduct. So now people often say, well, eating raw food isn't healthy. For me, it's been an evolution of 30 years because I'm 47 now. So when I went vegan, I was 17. Now, my natural evolution is to really minimize the cooked foods, minimize the starches, and focus on simple carbohydrates that are really easy for the body to digest. And there's not one single nutrient we can't get in raw food that we need. Proteins, carbs, fats, vitamins, minerals. I've been studying this for 30 years. So I know that the raw food diet is our species-specific diet. It's the most beneficial diet for mankind because it doesn't burden our body. And so that's where I would start with that.
That's a lot. Where do I begin?
I tend to like to be pretty frank about things. If you're gonna ask me a question, I just go right into like what I
No, that's
truly think
good.
on stuff.
No, I love it. I love it. So were your parents, either one of them, healthy eaters growing up?
No, not really. Now they're both extremely unhealthy eaters,
Oh, that's funny. And you're a raw vegan.
I'm completely on my own path. I don't need anyone else to validate me. I don't need my friends, family, wife, children, anyone to validate my experience. I'm completely in this for myself and how I see the world, my spiritual growth, and really virtuous living is not something that others can do with us. That is our choice. It's a spiritual choice. It's a devotional practice. It's not like you can ask anyone else to do that. So I don't look for the world to validate my experience or my choices at all. And that's part
Yes.
of why I think I'm a successful raw vegan, is because I don't need the world to validate that for me.
I was just wondering if you had it, some of it was in your DNA, the desire to do that, but it sounds like you did it all on your own. You had nothing to do
No,
with
yeah, it
how
does
you were
not come
raised.
from my family lineage at all. Nope, I have no vegetarians or vegans in my family. I wasn't taught that. I wasn't trained in that. It completely comes from the vision I have had in my mind as how I want humanity to be, how I want planet Earth to be, how I want animals to be treated, our spiritual evolution as a species, and how we're going to get there. I mean, if we're really going to experience fulfillment and happiness as a species on this planet, collectively as humans, we've got to look at our weakest link. We're only as strong as our weakest link. We've got to look at the law of cause and effect. We've got to look at how universal laws work, and the golden rule sums it up. How we treat others is how we're going to be treated ourselves. We really get what we deserve. What goes around comes around. And if we breed and enslave and kill and consume the remains of animals, we are going to perpetuate violence, slavery, inequality racism. All of the problems in the world today come from cooking our food, not just meat, but cooking the food, because we wouldn't be eating meat if we didn't cook our food. Really, cooking is what brought us kind of across the line. And you could say it would be the original fall of mankind. I don't think they were cooking their food in the Garden of Eden. There has been a time before fire where humanity did not cook our food. In fact, we probably evolved for 900,000 years without cooking our food. And it's only been for the last 100,000 years that we've had fire as part of the equation at all. We're not biologically adapted to it. And even though we've been doing it for a long time, it doesn't mean that it makes us thrive. So we're calorically opportunistic. We're going to look for concentrated calories. Every animal does. We can't blame ourselves for being calorically opportunistic, but the key is, are we growth oriented here? Are we growing, or are we dying? You know, do we want to evolve, or do we want to stay status quo? Do we want to, like, you know, pursue searching for the higher consciousness? Do we really value searching for higher consciousness at all? Because if we do, we might want to examine the very building blocks of what we put in our body every single day. I think it makes a huge difference.
And aside from spiritually speaking, what about the health benefits for the body? For someone who is going to transition from meat to, would you do vegan and then raw vegan? What would be the...
Well, transitioning off of meat, I think, is really pretty easy. I think most people struggle with dairy more than meat because dairy is really addictive. There's the casein proteins in dairy are 1/8 the addictiveness of morphine. So it's really like getting a hit of drugs when we eat dairy. And you know, those gooey oozing images, videos of pizza on the TV we see, there's a reason why that, you know, makes our mouth water, because it's a drug addiction, really. And it provides no nutritional value. Obviously, we get horrendous inflammation diseases from dairy specifically. And as a raw vegan coach and health practitioner and wellness coach in general, I deal with getting people off of acidosis that comes from dairy consumption almost daily. And so dairy's the harder part, but even harder than dairy, I think starches, cooked starches, are the hardest for people. Bread, pasta, potatoes. People would say, well, is that unhealthy? Are potatoes unhealthy? Obviously, it's sustained humanity for, you know, forever. Cooked starches. Cooked starches are a complex sugar. What does our body really want? It wants simple sugar, it wants simple proteins. It doesn't want to have to digest all this stuff. So the effort our body goes through to digest starches, that's what creates burden on the body. It's constipating, creates acid waste in the body. And then we have health problems. You know, the average American has about 66 years of healthy life, and then we start to deteriorate and we have compromised quality of life. We only get 66 years, but that's not biological, that's diet. So if we avoid cooked starches and we avoid animal products like meat and dairy, we're going to have a much more extended period of healthy life years for the average person. So to get back to your question though, how do you get off of meat? Like, how do you transition
to vegan or raw vegan?
Yeah, how do you eat more raw food? I would say if you're still eating animal products, the goal is to just really try to wean off of I'd say go plant-based first. Eat lots of steamed starchy vegetables and salads. Try to make your favorite recipes like, you know, you used to cook with animal products, but make a vegan version. I did that 30 years ago, so it's been a long time for me. I'm not in as much in that place. You know, I went through the transition from animal products to vegan as a kid. And so for me, I think now what I really help people understand is that the conscious mind is where our intellect is, but the subconscious mind is where our programming is. And we have the results of our subconscious programming. So if we don't have a healthy life going on, if we have health problems at all, those results that is the result of our subconscious programming, which chooses our behaviors, right? So really what we're after when we're transitioning from a healthier diet and lifestyle is reprogramming the subconscious mind. Because you can make vegan recipes till you're blue in the face, and that's not going to change a darn thing. You go back to eating meat, you go back to eating dairy. The only thing that's going to change it is reprogramming your subconscious mind. And when we do that, we can actually create success in all areas of our life. So money success, health success, relationship success. and giving back and purpose and being fulfilled by service to others. Those are the results of programming the subconscious mind. It's not just health, but you get that as part of the major pillars of fulfillment and happiness. So that's how I look
And
at it.
and what about the digestive problems people have? I know that's part of it is the detox. It comes across as digestive problems, right? When you're eating the raw vegan, and how long can that last? And because a lot of people, I see people on YouTube say, I watch their videos talk about being a raw vegan for 5 years, and then they're like, I couldn't take it anymore. I had to introduce meat or fish like once a week into my diet to help with the problems that they were having.
Um, yeah, well, again, it's subconscious. The subconscious mind is going to run and dictate all of that. It has nothing, there's no nutrient in meat or fish that you can't get from a plant source. There isn't one single one. I mean, I've been through this a bazillion times. There's not a single nutrient in fish. So that is a comfort zone thing. People are getting out of their comfort zone when they go raw vegan. They're trying to up level their life. They're trying to like really break through the glass ceiling. And they're saying, I want to experience vibrancy, health, purpose, meaning, fulfillment, and happiness. I want to feel lighter. I want to feel more higher vibration in my life. I want to pursue higher consciousness and virtuous living. That's what going raw vegan is. But we come up against our limiting belief systems, which is our glass ceiling, which is our subconscious programming, which tells us that, well, I've eaten meat or fish my entire life. My mom used to give me fish and tell me it was healthy. That's how we've been programmed. So if we stick with it long enough, we're going to break the subconscious programming eventually. So you got basically two options, try to reprogram your subconscious mind on your own, or allow the detoxification process to do it for you, which is really what I think happens if we stay on raw food long enough. We're going to naturally be led down the path of breaking the subconscious emotional attachment to meat or fish or whatever it is that we think is going to give us health. Look at the people who are eating fish and meat for health. They don't actually have health.
Well, carnivore is so popular right now. I'm like, I don't know how it became so crazy. I'm sure you see it all the time. People are
Well,
always
yes. So
talking.
the keto, obviously you look at people who are doing keto and they're highly inflamed and overweight and all that, but that's okay. Everyone's led astray at some point. We all fail at different things. I mean, it's just about getting back on the saddle and continuing to experiment in life. We can't be afraid of failing. If we are afraid of failing, we'll never try. That's why when we reprogram the subconscious mind to be a raw vegan, to really, really find health, we have to realize that we're striving for something that is different. What was I going to say? The thought just left my mind, which happens occasionally. What was I going to say? I had the best thought. The paradigm. Yeah, so the subconscious paradigm is like what we're really after changing. So, yeah, well, anyway, when, going back to meat and dairy again is just, it's not something that we need to do. It's just something that is comfortable for us. So we're
Okay.
always going to go back to what is comfortable for us, unless we really push through our limitations, unless we really decide. And why? Here's the real question, though. Why would we push past a limitation? What motivation would we have to do that? Why would we have any desire to change the status quo or get off of meat or dairy at all in the first place? The only reason that we would have any desire to do that is a vision of the future, a better vision for humanity, a more conscious, loving vision, healthier vision, where we're all kind of working together to make a really great planet for all of us, including the animals. And if we're not working toward a win-win vision, we're really just caught in a very, very low vibration loop of how I can serve myself. So as soon as we take the focus off ourselves and we focus on helping others, it breaks that paradigm, and all of a sudden we realize that we matter a lot. We have so much to give. Our life is so valuable, so important, that we should really just do our best to serve others, and we should teach what we want to learn. If we want to learn how to be a vegan, teach it to others. That's the best and quickest way to learn, because we will hold ourselves accountable at the highest level if we teach what we need to learn.
Right. So your why has to be super strong. You have to have a very strong why, otherwise it's not going to happen.
Yeah, the why is absolutely key. So I always say hold the vision and not the circumstance. The circumstance is that you're hungry, you're having cravings, you want to eat meat or fish or whatever. But the vision is that you want a higher vibrational life. You want to pursue, virtuous living and higher consciousness and experience a beautiful life for all. Well, that's the vision. So it doesn't matter if the circumstances don't reflect that. We live into the vision, and we'll get the circumstances will eventually catch up, and they will align. So when we're trying to manifest anything of value, whether we're trying to go from earning 50,000 a year to 500,000 a year, that same principle applies. We have to hold the vision of 500,000 a year and never let go. If we do let go of the vision, what happens? We never achieve it.
Right.
So we can't go from earning 50,000 a year to 500,000 a year if we don't hold the vision. And the same goes for going from a meat eater to a vegan. We can't become a vegan if we don't hold the vision. The vision is what dictates the actions and the belief systems and the reprogramming of the subconscious mind.
Right. If your why's not strong enough, if you're doing it and you're feeling hard done by every day, like, oh, I really want those chips or whatever that you're dying to eat, and it's not going to work, right? Because then you're just feel like you're cheating yourself instead of
Yeah.
your why's not strong enough at that point.
Yeah. And I mean, I help people with this every day, how to get off of the cravings for chips and all that, bread and pasta and all that.
Mm-hmm.
All you got to do, it's really simple. Just eat fruit. Fruit is the great healer. Fruit is the great paradigm buster. It'll help you bust through. I mean, literally, if you want bread, just eat more fruit. It's the simple sugars that give us all that energy. And because we don't want to digest bread, our body doesn't actually want that. It's only like our addictive memory patterns that want that. So if we just eat fruit and we give ourselves all that power of the simple sugars, then our body is energized. We have a little digestion. We've got tons of energy, and we're going to forget about bread and pasta and all the stuff we want.
Do you limit your fruit intake? Are you concerned about sugar at all, or is that not an issue?
Fruit is not sugar. Fruit is simple carbohydrates. So if you eat bread, it spikes your insulin. So the whole key is insulin, not sugar. If we
Fruit doesn't spike your insulin?
No, fruit doesn't spike insulin at all. You can eat 30 bananas and have no insulin response whatsoever. You can have a watermelon and have no insulin response.
I knew watermelon. I thought bananas did. I thought they spiked insulin levels.
Eat potatoes. See how your insulin spikes then.
Oh, well, yeah.
Right? Or eat bread.
I know that.
Or pasta and see how your insulin spikes. So the interesting thing is that potatoes, for instance, aren't sweet, right? But they spike our blood sugar. But fruit, like grapes or bananas, are sweet, but don't spike our blood sugar. So
why is that? Because they turn into sugar. I mean, they're simple sugars, and
so it doesn't turn to sugar, it turns to energy.
So you burn it right away, so it doesn't get stored as fat.
No insulin required for the cells to metabolize simple sugars into energy.
So if I ate 10 bananas, it wouldn't, you don't think that would turn into fat at all?
No, okay, so for body fat, what's absolutely fascinating is you cannot gain body fat on fruit. You can't, no matter how much you eat. Try it. I mean, that's all I can say. People don't believe me. I mean, I talk to fitness experts who are calories in, calories out. Day in and day out, they preach calories in, calories out. You have to be in a calorie deficit to lose body fat. Well, you can try to gain weight on fruit. Eat as much of it as you possibly can. You'll probably lose weight. You cannot gain weight on fruit. The reason is because the body doesn't want to take the energy to convert simple sugar to body fat. It doesn't want to do it. Your body will love to convert dietary fat to body fat though, because it's already fat. It's happy to do that. But it can't convert simple sugars to body fat. So you can eat 6,000 calories a day of bananas or fruits, peaches, watermelons, and never gain a pound.
No, they say fat doesn't spike your insulin either, right?
What's that?
Fat does not spike your insulin.
Well, speaking of insulin, it's really interesting because lipids in the blood that's what creates diabetes and blood sugar problems is lipids in the blood. So lipids interfere with the hormone of insulin being able to carry the sugar to the cell for metabolism. So usually diabetes is cured through low fat. And high blood sugar in general is taken care of by lowering the fat intake, because sugars aren't the problem. The body wants simple sugar for energy. That's our primary fuel source. It's the number one preferred fuel source. fat interferes with the uptake of sugar, and then we get insulin problems. So lowering the fat is going to be a much better strategy. But for me now, as a raw vegan, I eat a balanced macro ratio of proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. So I will make sure I have at least 30% of my calories from fat, and most of them 50% or more my calories from simple carbohydrates, and the rest proteins. Proteins kind of just take care of themselves.
Is that just you personally, what you like? Or do you recommend that for everyone?
I absolutely teach it. I coach it. I recommend it. Low fat, like fruit only diets, which is what tends to be popular. People go to the raw vegan diet thinking that they have to be fruitarians or they have to cut out fat. Anytime we demonize or restrict a macronutrient, we are going to fail. That's why keto will fail. We can't restrict carbohydrates. We can't restrict fats. We can't restrict proteins. We have to really have a balance of all three of those. And if we eat a balanced macro ratio and only do raw foods, then we're going to get all of the nutrients we would get from the cooked foods. Proteins, carbs, and fats, raw or cooked. Well, raw proteins, carbs, and fats are the same as cooked protein, carbs, and fats, except raw protein, carbs, and fats, you're getting the plethora of everything that's destroyed when we cook, which is not only enzymes, but hormones, oxygen, gases, phytonutrients. An amazing amount of phytonutrients are lost, plus the biophotons and the electrons, which people think is, sometimes I get feedback that people are like, oh, that's hocus pocus hippie stuff. No, biophotons are measured by science. It's completely scientific. You can look it up on Google. Biophotons are destroyed in cooking, and it's how our cells communicate with each other. So if we're diseased, it's because we have a biophoton deficiency, and this is proven by science. So eating raw food restores our biophoton levels, creates intercellular communication, which means our cells can reproduce easier, regenerate easier, because we reproduce all of our cells every 7 years. We're a completely new human being. So the cells have to reproduce well and read the genetic codes and the DNA. And raw food restores the ability of the cell to read the DNA. And why do we get degenerative diseases? It's because our body is burdened by all the cooked food. It can't read the genes, it can't read the DNA, and it can't reproduce the cells. That's where we get degenerative conditions. That's why our kidneys go bad. That's why our organs, pancreas goes bad. That's why we age. That's why we get wrinkles. Otherwise, we would regenerate well over the course of our life, and we wouldn't have premature aging or sickness at all.
I was just going to ask you, you just said something I was going to. Oh, are there any vegetables that are hard to digest that you find difficult to digest raw?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually, because most people think being raw means you have to eat kale. But as a raw vegan, I don't eat kale. I'll juice kale, but it's too fibrous to eat, so I don't eat it at all. And so there's many foods that are just too fibrous. When we think of raw food, we think of broccoli, kale. Zucchini. I don't eat any of that. I don't eat any of the cruciferous vegetables.
What do you eat?
Well, the tender greens, all tender greens. So all non-sweet fruits, for one, zucchinis and cucumbers and all the non-sweet fruits are tender and easy to digest. Of course, all the fruits, all the sweet fruits, but tender greens and sprouts. So you can make sprouts. You can grow your own sprouts. You can make microgreens, tender lettuces. I even actually avoid romaine for the most part because it's it's time consuming to chew romaine. It's very fibrous. So I would much rather have butter lettuce or red leaf lettuce or lettuces that are tender. I love microgreens. I love spring mix. I love spinach. I love all the tender greens.
Do you put dressings of any kind? Do you do some raw dressings?
Oh yeah. So having raw dressings is one of the keys to a raw vegan diet. If you have a good key core raw dressing that you make at home, you can spice up any salad or any amount of vegetables. You pour it in, use it as a dip. Having a good raw vegan recipe for your salad dressing is maybe one of the keys to become a raw vegan in the first place. So I have a great raw vegan ranch dressing that's my go-to. It's my absolute rock stable dressing that I use for everything. And it's made with hemp seeds as the base. It makes it creamy and white, just like a ranch dressing. It's high in protein. It's 100% raw. It's absolutely delicious. Everybody tries it. When I go over to families' houses, I'll make it for holidays and whatnot, and people will literally say this is the best salad dressing I've ever had in my life. And I've heard it hundreds of times.
Love it. Yeah, I see some of those raw vegan dressings. They look delicious. It has some fruit base in there, and I forget all the other ingredients. You can make it spicy, which is
Yeah.
tasty.
Yeah, you can make it spicy. I make curry flavored dressings. I make spicy dressings. I make sweet and sour dressings. Um, all of the flavors, every flavor that you can enjoy on cooked food, you can enjoy in raw food. You just have to find ways to incorporate it in. And salad dressings are the easiest way. And by salad dressings, I also mean dips. So you can make dips, kind of like spreads and dressings. And
And
that can be where you get all of your flavors from. But
nice.
the key though is really reprogramming that paradigm, because if we're really after just pleasing the senses with food,
Right.
you know what I mean,
That's
like
not long last. It's not sustainable.
it's not sustainable. And how well does our pleasure, like seeking part of ourselves, really serve us? I mean, that's why people get addicted to drugs and stuff, is because we're just after that pleasure sensory response, but there's no
Yep.
benefit in that. So keeping ourselves in check and pursuing truly eating for life is a much better strategy. And what people don't realize, and I teach this in success strategy and mindset and success strategy all the time, when we give ourselves limits, we actually create more freedom. So restricting our diet can actually give us more freedom in our diet. And that's a paradigm shift that most people would never understand. But limiting unhealthy foods and even limiting cooked foods can give us the most freedom we've ever experienced with diet and lifestyle, which is exactly what I've experienced, and why I stay raw is because I have more freedom. I can eat more food. I can feel more better. I can satiate myself easier with, I never have to restrict or worry about anything. So that's freedom. Because if I'm eating rice and hummus and potatoes, I got to count calories or I'll get fat.
Right. Oh, so you don't count calories. You just, right. You just do a 30 rate, or no, you said
Yeah, 30, 30. Yeah, 30, 50, 20.
20.
Yeah, is about what I do.
And is there
And
a
never
maximum?
restrict calories.
Okay.
What?
It's just whatever you want to eat during the day, as long as it's in that ratio.
Yeah, I've just been doing this so long. I think that's my natural ratio. But I think tracking your calories and macro balance for a period of time is very helpful for people, because you don't realize how easy it is to undereat on raw food at the beginning. And my first year as a raw vegan, I would just eat massive amounts of salad, massive amounts of fruit. I would sit down and have 2 melons. I'd sit down and have 2,000 calories of fruit in one sitting. And um, that was just because I was transitioning. My body was hungry, and my gut bacteria was changing, and I just stayed on it, And then, but now at 3 years, I don't like to eat like that at all. I like to have normal portions. I'll eat fruit mono meals. I'll eat normal sized salads. And again, it gives me complete freedom. I don't have to worry about calories. I don't have to worry about overeating. I don't have to worry about what I'm eating. I just make sure it's undenatured, which means raw nuts and seeds, fruits, greens, sprouts, everything that's undenatured. That includes superfoods like mushrooms, or greens like spirulina or chlorella. Dehydrated foods can be undenatured. Anything that is undenatured, but denaturing the food. I mean, I just personally get fat right away. I'll put on 20, 30 pounds if I eat denatured food.
Like nut butters, are those?
Raw nut butters are great, but most of the nut butters you're going to buy at the store are going to be roasted, so just look for the raw nut butters. That's fine.
Yeah, I see
But
the raw almond butter. Yeah.
yeah, and it's pasteurized, so it's not technically raw.
Oh,
So I limit because it's denatured. So I
okay.
limit that one. But if you're eating truly raw nuts and seeds, and I really like to stick to seeds for that reason, because they don't denature hemp seeds, chia seeds, flax seeds. The seeds are where I really love the seeds, and they're high in omega-3s. If you overeat cashews or almonds, they are high in omega-6, and then you get an imbalance in the omega-3s. If one of the secrets to being vegan long term is eating an abundance of omega-3s, and you get that in flax and chia and hemp primarily. Those three seeds are the powerhouse. And if you overconsume the omega-3 fats, you will stay slim, especially the undenatured omega-3 fats from non-animal sources. Vegan omega-3, it is the secret to staying raw vegan, because we need the omega-3s to produce DHA, healthy hair, skin, and nails, keeps us looking young, keeps us looking good. We don't want to look, I mean, if we're eating only fruit, we're going to get drawn out, we're going to get skinny, wrinkly, all that stuff. That's not the way to do it. Eat a
Right.
large amount of fat, but have it be omega-3 based fats, and eat it in abundance. And you will not gain any weight, look good, feel good, have energy, consistency.
So on that, eating the raw vegan, it sounds like your body just becomes what it naturally, the weight it naturally should be, right? You just become, it's not a diet, it's a way of eating, and your body just adapts to that way.
You're going to have great body composition. I mean, if you're overweight, for instance, anywhere, any overweight, 20, 30 pounds or more overweight, eating undenatured food, the raw foods like I'm talking about, you'll instantly drop the weight. Instantly. The body can't store fat from fruits and undenatured foods. It just doesn't do it. And so you can eat, you can stuff your face. You can have tons of food. You can enjoy eating like most people do for pleasure. But if you keep it undenatured, that's what I'm saying. Like, that limitation gives you total freedom, and it's mind blowing. But if you eat the denatured, healthy vegan foods, like you think you're going to go plant-based and lose all this weight from going plant-based, you'll quickly find that relying on cooked starches, denatured starches, will make you blow up like a balloon.
So like the other diets, like the keto, they limit the carbs so much that then you're burning fat, right? So it's trying to get your body to burn fat instead of the simple sugars and the carbs. You don't eat those anymore.
Yeah, the
So
body can burn fat for fuel, but I would say 99.999% of people doing keto are not in ketosis. That's absurd. I mean, you have to have no carbohydrates to be in ketosis. Any amount of carbohydrate in the diet, which is in foods, will keep you out of ketosis. You want to really be in ketosis? Water fast for 4 days, and you'll see what true ketosis feels like after 4 days of water fasting. It doesn't feel very good. You feel it's very low energy. It's very, very unfunctional. I mean, you certainly couldn't be athletic. You certainly couldn't be high functioning. You couldn't certainly like show up and do an interview like this, 4 days water fasting. Your words won't form properly, because truly burning fat for fuel is not very fun. It doesn't feel very good. But you have simple carbohydrates, and the body just lights up, turns on. Simple carbohydrates is what our body wants. I mean, all animals in nature eat simple carbohydrates.
do you incorporate fasting into your diet at all?
Yeah, sometimes I'll intermittent fast, maybe, just to keep food out of my digestive tract for periods of time. It feels
Give it a
good.
break.
Yeah, give it a break. I did a 40-day juice fast to help me transition to a raw vegan diet. I've actually become a juice fasting coach. People come to me. If you go to my YouTube channel, Raw Vegan Rising, you'll see a lot of videos about juice fasting. And so juice fasting is a phenomenal way to help give our digestion a break, increase our energy and mood, clean out waste out of the GI tract, keep our energy high. We can do juice fasting while working, taking care of kids. It's a really gentle detox process. It's really beneficial in a lot of ways. And it's not hard like water fasting, which is hard.
And how long would you juice fast? What would you recommend?
There's only one reason to juice fast, and one reason alone. There is not two reasons to juice fast, one reason. And that one reason is to clean out the GI tract in order to help the body transition to a healthier diet and lifestyle. That's it. Otherwise, just eat raw foods, eat undenatured foods. But if you're struggling because you've got a GI tract that's impacted full of 30 years of eating meat and dairy and denatured food, and it's causing digestive problems, then you do a juice fast to clean that out. So juice
Like a day
fasting
or
is,
2 days or 3 days? Or
will you go as long as it takes to clean the GI tract out? It's the only reason. A 3-day juice fast is not worth the energy. It's a complete waste of time. Doing a 7-day or a 20-day juice fast, complete waste of time. Don't even bother. I would really honestly say don't bother. It's better to just eat raw food. Just eat fruit and salad if you're going to detox. You know, you'll still detox on fruit and salad. If you're going to juice fast, do it for the purpose of cleaning out the GI tract, which means you go as long as it takes to clean out the GI tract. Eventually, everything will come out. And
Okay.
that's the reason. Once you've done that, now you've reset your gut. You can rebuild your gut on healthy food. Imagine emptying your GI tract and then rebuilding your gut microbiome on raw foods, salads, fruits, nuts, and seeds. Now you're rebuilding your entire gut. All the flora and the microorganisms are flourishing off of the raw foods. That's how you experience health. I mean, we really have to make our body like a garden. You know, that's how we experience health, like a compost inside. If you've ever composted, making a healthy compost pile, you can't put animal food in there. You can't put animal scraps and chicken shells, eggshells in there. You can't do it. It's got to be naturally decaying organic matter. It's got to be greens and grasses and hay and things, and it's got to be plant matter. And the same goes for our gut. If we want to create a vibrant, healthy, flourishing body, we got to have a flourishing, healthy gut. And you do that with raw plant foods.
Right. And it, your skin's amazing.
Oh, thanks.
It's so clear and beautiful.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I went on a little run earlier in the morning, which I usually do most days to just get the blood flowing in my body and turns my brain on. And I start my day with a smoothie, and that's all I've had today. So I've been working all day. All I've had is one smoothie, a quart jar, this size of smoothie, a quart jar, right?
A green one?
Well, today I had a superfoods raw cacao smoothie.
Oh.
Yeah, raw cacao is one of my smoothie variations that I make. And so I use raw cacao, I use maca root, I use reishi mushroom, and I use bananas, chia seeds, flax seeds. Sometimes I'll add hemp seeds. Today I didn't. And I make them real calorie dense, nutrient dense.
Okay.
And
Get you
I'm
through the
still
day.
going at 3 o'clock. I got up at 8 o'clock this morning, went on a run, and one smoothie. Now that's what happens after 3 years of raw food, you know, is that you can get less, you can get more energy from less food. See, we're overeating in our culture. We overeat and we're still starving for nutrition.
Right.
So when we eat potatoes and bread and pasta, there's no nutrition in any of that food. It's just empty calories. So we get big, we put on weight, and our body is starving. When we eat nutrient dense foods, we can eat a lot less, and it's enjoyable to eat less. So when people are like, how do I get past my cravings for chips and bread and ice cream and pasta? I'm like, that stuff does not serve you. You want to just eat less. The key to longevity and health and vibrancy and good skin is eating less food.
And what
But
about supplements? Do you add supplements to your smoothies, or do you get it all from your food?
all from my food. Yeah, I don't do
See,
any
I like that.
supplements.
I'm not into supplements.
No, I don't do any supplements at all. I do superfoods. You could consider them maybe supplementing the diet to use superfoods. By that I mean spirulina, chlorella. You know, I'll do like dried, you know, nettles and the reishi mushrooms, and I do like chaga and lion's mane and reishi, some, you know, shiitake. So I'll do mushrooms, and I'll do what else? You know, there's one called water lentil, which is a really protein-rich green powder. It's grown in fresh water. They grow it in Florida, and then they harvest it and dry it. I also love barley grass juice and wheatgrass juice that's dehydrated. Powerhouse foods. I mean, so much nutrition in so little. 1 tablespoon of barley grass juice powder is like taking a multivitamin, but it is made from grasses and it is fresh. You can add it to your smoothies. It's delicious. So I don't do any synthetic vitamins or nutrients at all.
Yeah, I have some Purium. Have you heard of Purium?
Yeah.
But they have a lot of sugar, grams of sugar in them, just that their Power Shake and then their other ones. But
yeah, I don't do Purium. Do they add refined sugar, you mean?
it's just on the ingredient list. There's like 8 grams of sugar in the.
Oh yeah, I don't do any refined sugars at all. So I don't do honey, I don't do maple syrup, I don't do agave. I actually love being stimulant free. It's actually set my life completely free. When I got off coffee, I got off tea, and it just propelled me to my raw vegan status. I really knew I needed to get off caffeine first, but I took that as a stimulant-free lifestyle. So I don't do anything that stimulates. I don't spike my blood sugar, and I don't do any stimulants of any kind. So no refined sugars, no caffeine, no alcohol, no tobacco, no anything, you
All
know.
right. You are healthy.
Yeah,
Your
it's well,
body's
it's
loving you.
my body is really happy these days. Yeah, my digestion as a raw vegan of 3 years is absolutely on point. It's just gotten good after 3 years. To be very transparent, it took me about 2 years to have consistently good digestion on raw food. It was not an easy transition. It took me about 2 years for my gut microbiome to completely adapt and to get up to speed to where I don't have any issues. Bowel transit times are consistent, and it's amazing, and it changes your life when you really experience it. It's the
Is there
key to health.
anything to do to help get you through that, or it's just time? You're just like, it'll pass, it'll pass.
Reprogramming my subconscious mind. In the process of giving it time, I had to reprogram my subconscious to get through it. It was a survival strategy. I mean, I really had to get off of the desire for all this unhealthy, unnatural, empty calorie foods. I had to I went through a big grieving process where I had to feel sad about leaving all those favorite foods behind. I think that's a really important key. Feeling grief for the loss of old friends and like family and traditions and culture and society. I really march by the beat of my own drum. I don't listen to society. I don't listen to the dietary guidelines proposed
Yeah,
by our
clearly.
government. I don't listen to it. I do my own thing. I don't believe that any of that is really healthy. And so when people say you need to eat meat to be healthy, it has nutrients you can't get as a vegan. I'm 30 years vegan. It's just not true. It's all fear. And so that's the reprogramming. It's like we
Yeah.
got to get off of the fears that have been instilled in us that comes from marketing, from the meat and dairy and egg industry, and from grandma's tradition that was wrong for generations. I mean, it's okay that our generational norms are wrong, and it's okay for us to do something different in order to get different results.
To me, it seems
Because
like
it's
it's harder with the social aspect than because the government doesn't know anything about dietary guides. No one knows. I
yeah,
mean, clearly.
yeah, clearly.
But the social aspect is a lot harder than I think than thinking
So
you're.
how do we hang out with friends and not eat what our friends are eating? How do we do that? Well, we have to be completely self-referencing. We have to say, I'm going to follow my own intuitive guidance regardless of what anyone else is doing. I'm not going to be swayed by the pressures of society or peer groups. I am not going to be swayed by someone else. I'm going to stand firm. I'm going to follow my own intuitive path. I'm going to pursue virtuous living and higher consciousness, and I'm going to be dedicated to it.
Yeah,
And
it's such a
so,
bigger picture.
yeah, the bigger picture and holding the vision. Look, whoever's got the stronger vision is going to win. That's the bottom line. And right now, our culture
Yep.
is, violent, warmongering. We like war and violence. But if we had a different vision, that would win. We could have a vision of benevolence and kindness and abundance for all. And then that's what we'd be experiencing. So it's up to us to hold the vision of what we want, you know?
It is. It's so true, and it's like just like you say when you manifest anything. I mean, you gotta believe in it, and your why has to be super strong, and then you can do it. But when you're going back and forth, well, I don't know, then it's just not going to happen. Then you
Yeah,
don't
well,
get what
and
you want.
it's interesting you say that because people will test you and see how much you know when you first go vegan. I just had one of my clients ask me the other day that her family wanted to come and have a raw vegan dinner, and she was like, "What do I do? How do I make a raw vegan dinner for everybody?" And so my coaching was, you don't. You make a plant-based dinner and you provide lots of fruit and salad and you let them choose. But having to succumb to some pressure to prove that you can have raw vegan dinners, I mean, I don't even go there. You know what I mean? That's not what it's about. It is about letting everyone else choose their own path. And so I said, here's a resource of 1,000 raw vegan dinner recipes, because I got all those resources as a raw vegan, right? Pick and choose. But what I would do is I would make a plant-based dinner with lots of fresh food and just feed everyone and have fun. It doesn't have to be about it being raw, and you don't have to prove anything to
That
anyone.
takes the fun
And
out of it when you get so.
takes the fun out of it. Yeah. So friends and family are always trying to get you to prove that what you're doing is right and answer questions. Well, we've been cooking our food for thousands of years. We get more nutrients from our food when we cook it. That's what everybody says.
Oh, I've never heard anyone say that.
No?
Not in my circle, I mean,
That's good. You've got a good circle
it's
then.
a well, cooking is known to deteriorate food. It's known to
Yeah,
take out the vitamins and
I mean,
minerals.
science, says that we get more nutrition out of broccoli by cooking it, right? So,
Oh, no, I didn't
but
even know
I don't
that.
believe any of that. No. What we lose in exchange for that little bit of nutrient that we gain from denaturing the food is vast. We lose all of the natural components that come from Mother Nature, including the light, like I was talking about, biophotons.
Well, you and I are lucky living in California because we have the farmers markets, and the one down the road here in Los Gatos has all these yummy sprouts. They're so good. From
Yeah.
new natives. I don't know if you have it up in Sonoma, or Santa
No.
Rosa.
So living in California, geographical location is key. I mean, the bottom line is if you live in northern Wisconsin or something, can you go raw vegan living up there? It's going to be a struggle. I'd say that people who are really committed to a raw vegan diet and lifestyle really eventually end up moving to more accommodating locations geographically. So if you live in a northern climate like northern Europe or northern United States or Canada, I don't know if a raw vegan diet is viable, to be honest.
That
Do
would be
your best,
hard.
eat healthy, be plant-based. You certainly don't need to eat animal products, but if you're really going to thrive on raw foods, you probably want to live somewhere where raw foods are abundant and available.
In the winter here, do you get your fruit from the farmers markets?
Yes, I love our local farmers market here, and I have three good markets in my area, one of them being Whole Foods, which is a big national chain, of course, but I have two other local markets that are really great. One is all organic. The entire market is organic. It's really amazing, and
Which
all the
one?
produce is local.
I know
Every,
Santa Rosa. Which one is it?
yeah, community market,
Okay.
community
I don't know if
market
I've
it's
been there.
called. It's all organic and all local. It's incredible. And then there's another local market, which is a produce stand where you go in and it's just the entire market is produce and raw fresh foods. The entire place is a
Ooh.
produce stand. So between those markets and my farmer's market, I have an abundance of food year round, seasonally. And even when I travel, that's the other thing. No matter where I'm traveling in the world, I've traveled internationally as a raw vegan, never, ever had to eat cooked food based on conditions or survival, never had to do it once. So
So you
it's all
managed
just,
to find
oh
enough
yeah,
to
there's
eat.
always solutions. You can bring certain things with you and then you just find what's fresh. And so it's really a mindset. And the reason people would say, well, I had to eat cooked food when I traveled is because they don't want to be raw vegan in the first place. And they're just giving themselves an out or an excuse. Because like I said, it's what we're really up against is the conscious mind versus the subconscious mind. So.
Right. Yeah. Well, you said you can bring food with you. What would you bring though on an airplane?
When I travel, I bring dry legumes like lentils and I sprout them with me when I go. So I will sustain on
Oh,
sprouted lentils when I drive. I love sprouted lentils. They sprout in about 12 hours. You can eat a lot of them. They're high in protein, high in carbohydrates. They have all of the macronutrients, well, not so much fats, but really great balance of proteins and carbohydrates and very satiating, very healthy. And so you can take dried legumes. That's what I do.
you just have one of the jars with the lid on it, and
I bring a
you let it.
sprouting jar when I travel.
Yeah.
That's what I
I
do.
I used to
And
grow my
then
own sprouts.
yeah, and then I'll bring some dried fruits and nuts and seeds with me
Oh,
as well.
yeah,
And then I can
that's
find
easy.
fresh fruit wherever I go. I mean, they even sell bananas at gas stations. I mean, there's always fresh food,
Yeah, bananas are easy to find. That's true.
Bananas, right? There's always something. So I just figure if my protein is covered and my fats are covered, so I bring proteins and fats, and then because those are more dense, I can have, like I said, the dry legumes and the fats and nuts and seeds, and then I just find my carbohydrate sources when I'm out.
And
That's my strategy.
yeah, makes it sound easy when you say it like that. So
It is
when
for me.
you did the 2 years of you find your body adapted to the raw vegan. Oh no, I forgot what I was going to ask. um, I know it took 2 years. How you got through that? Oh shoot! Now I forgot what I was going to ask. How you
Your
got?
turn. We both forgot what we were going to say. That's
I
fair now.
know.
One for one.
Well, the
That's good.
benefits are, your energy level. That's what I was going to go to energy. Your energy level is super high. Well, you were healthy before though. It's not like you were eating KFC, the day before you went raw vegan.
Yeah,
But
no, not exactly. But I was
you were
eating animal
healthier.
products. I actually went from animal products to raw vegan.
Okay. So
But I
your
had been
energy
vegan for
level.
many years before though. So I had come out of a time it had gotten so bad eating animal products. I felt so guilty and my health was so crappy and my energy levels were bad and I'd put on a lot of weight and I had skin inflammation. I had seborrheic dermatitis chronically. I had joint pains I was dealing with. I mean, it was a mess. And I knew intuitively from being vegan for many years that I had to go vegan again, get off the animal products. But this time I decided to go 100% raw because it was calling me. I knew it was in my destiny. I wanted to teach it. I wanted to learn it. I wanted to be a raw vegan. I had been for about 15 years. I had kind of discovered it 15 years earlier. And I said, okay, this is the time. This is my legacy work. I'm going to step into this work for the rest of my life. And it just flowed. It just flowed. And now I've been working as a raw vegan coach for 3 years, since
Oh,
2017.
is that your
Yeah,
career, your
that is
full-time
my
gig?
career. Yeah,
Nice. That must be fun. Is it fun?
it's great. Well, coaching is one of the fastest growing sectors in the world. And so if we're going to invest into a line of work in 2020, coaching is the ticket because the boats it's rising. I mean, we're going to this wave's coming in and it's going to be for the next 20 or 30 years, probably 2 or 3 decades. Coaching was not going anywhere with the onset of the internet and the information age paradigm. We are going to need each other more and turn to influencers and people who inspire us more and more. So if we put ourselves out there, it's like putting a bat signal out there. Our people will come to us. We don't even have to try. The internet and social media makes it so cool that we can just talk about our experiences, share ourselves, and make money off of that. So that's why coaching is cool. And that's what I do. And I use social media to tell people who I am. And then they come to me and say, I want your help. I need your help.
I love it. I love it. And
Yeah.
do you have testimonies on your website too? I didn't see if you did or not.
Yeah, I do. I do have some testimonials on my website. Yeah. It would be great if I had more testimonials, but I'm just so busy. I mean, I have so many people coming to me from my YouTube channel. I run a membership site called Raw Vegan Heroes. You can look at it on my website, rawveganrising.com. There's a tab called membership at the top. If you go and look at that, that's really what my work is right now. I'm running a membership where people pay monthly to be part of a community where we're learning to be raw vegan. We're learning how to do this. And I am the coach in the group, but it's a whole community of people. So there's a lot of accountability, of friendships. If you have questions about being a raw vegan, you can ask the group and you get a pooled answer.
Mm-hmm.
And so the community is powerful because the community holds itself together. It has a life of its own, an energy of its own. I just kind of steer the culture and make sure the culture is what I want, which is very loving, very accepting, very, the vegans and non-vegans alike are welcome in there. And then that's really my work, is running my membership. And then I do private coaching on top of that.
Okay. And that monthly one that you do, you do a weekly call with them, or other than the forum, what is it?
Yeah, so it's the forum where everybody can talk on the main thread. It takes place in a Facebook group. I do a weekly live stream into the group, which is a Q&A format. So I collect questions from the members all week. And then every Friday morning, we talk live together about the questions. I answer them. I coach people through their process. I talk a lot about the motivational mindset aspects, the emotional aspects of letting go of food and animal products. And really, it is pretty cool. It is cool. It's, in fact, I love it so much that I feel like I've really stepped into the coolest thing I could have ever imagined. Running a coaching membership around raw food is just like life-changing. I just love it.
I love that. I love that. And is it also live on YouTube at the same time as live on Facebook?
It's only for my private paying members. It's $14.99 a month to be part of it. I make it as cheap as possible. The cost of like a fancy deli sandwich gets you an entire month in Raw Vegan Heroes, teaching and educating and inspiring. And
it can't be private in YouTube.
I don't stream
Be...
YouTube. Yeah, I don't think it can be private in YouTube.
Oh,
so
okay.
I will share on my YouTube channel. I will occasionally share short snippets of my live streams that I do for my private members so people can get a feel for what it's like.
Right.
But not very often. I just do little tasters because really the private membership is where it's where the goods are. I used to be really, really excited about my YouTube channel until my membership took off. And now I do a YouTube video every week talking about the details. But the group membership forum, the format of everybody coming together is so much better. It's so much more transformative and powerful.
Oh,
But it's
nice.
premium. There's a small fee because there's administrative costs, and I do a weekly live stream, so it's
Well,
$14.99.
plus it's your job, so I mean, you need to make
Yeah,
money. Kind
yeah,
of nice to have an income.
yes, definitely. Yeah, we have to feel worthy of receiving and giving and receiving, and it's the beautiful flow of life, and we all deserve to
Yep,
thrive.
I agree. I agree. Oh, this has been very informative. Thank you for coming on.
You're very welcome. I hope somebody watching gets some value out of this, and thanks for
Oh,
asking me on.
oh, I did. So that's really,
Oh,
we're
good.
starting with one person.
Yay.
But I'll put your website and everything in the description. And is
Yeah,
there
please do. Yeah,
and your YouTube channel?
that would be great. Yeah, directing people to the YouTube channel and my website to look at my membership. Those are the two.
All right. All right. Well, thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, much love to you, Kelly. Have a great day, and
You
everybody watching.
too.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, stay away from those fires.
Yes. All righty, bye-bye.
Bye. Hi guys, this is Kelly. If you like the video, please hit the like button and the subscribe. I would appreciate it very much. And I will be doing more videos like this. I think it's super important to learn about what works for people in their everyday life, and diet is a very big part of that. And it was super interesting talking to Shane and listening to the raw vegan lifestyle that he lives. And I'll be having on other people in the next few weeks to talk about the way they eat, their diet, and all different subjects. So I'm super excited. Thank you guys for joining, and I look forward to seeing you in the future. Bye.